hear me, understand me, and join me in saying welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I am your host, the most charismatic man in entertainment, and we are back. I'm finally happy to say I have another guest on the podcast, something I've been looking forward to doing in a while. And I'm looking forward to having this guest on. We had a great conversation, and it's been a while since we caught up. We became friends in like 2016 while I was in college in between freshman and sophomore year. And we done a lot of cool gigs together. This was when I started my journey from stage to TV and film, doing background for a lot of major TV shows throughout New York City, doing another couple gigs together. And, it's definitely good to have Jeff Hardy come on. It's not actually Jeff Hardy, but he really looks like this dude. But awesome family man, actor, content creator, real estate agent. He's out here pursuing his dream, but he also has a good backstory. A lot of people may not know. And I'm looking forward to having this conversation. This is what this podcast is about. It's about sitting down, having real and open, honest conversations with people of different walks of life. And even though we may walk the same path in terms of creativity, our times in this industry, our lives are separate. And I think it's finally time to have him come on, talk about his journey, talk about his traumatic experience, talk about his turning point in life, and just give a perspective that many other people haven't been able to hear. So, no, thank you guys for tuning in for this episode. I'm looking forward to it. I had to push this one back due to the police brutality and all these other current events happening. But we are here, we're in the moment, and we're about to rock and roll and have a good time. So, without further ado, welcome my man. I won't say his name. I'm gonna save that for the real intro. But thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Let's rock and roll. Let's get into it. Let's celebrate in 3, 2, 1. You already know the Prince of Fresh Air. This is your host. You already know the most charismatic man in entertainment. Beat that, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I hope everybody's having a great week, great morning, great day, whether you get off of work, at home with the kids, whatever you're doing. It's been a while, and I think it's time. I have to go back to my roots. A lot of times recently, I've been talking about a lot of controversial topics, society and cultural issues, and I think I wanted to get back to the bread and butter of this podcast, which is interviewing people with cool stories, perspectives that other people can learn and use to guide themselves in their journey. And I think this conversation is long overdue. He's been hounding me for many years. No, I'm kidding. um, he's a great guy. It's funny. I interview actors on this platform, but there's truly somebody that we've been through a couple different phases. We met as background actors while I was still in college. Then we did a stint where we was dressing up as mustard and ketchup costumes,
Oh my God.
making decent money though, decent money in the city. But
It
we
was.
went to
Yep.
that, and now we were pursuing our careers in the entertainment industry. And this man, he has a new film coming out on Prime Video. We're gonna get into all of that stuff because I don't want to give that away just yet. But it's long overdue. Please welcome the big pain in my ass, Sean Ian. How you doing, man?
How you doing, buddy? It's great to see you, man. It's been too long. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to you getting back to New York, man.
yeah. 2019 is when I left for LA. Yeah,
It's been a while, man. You have been missed over here.
yeah. I miss the city, and it's one of those things where during the pandemic I realized I'm like I like LA. The weather's nice, but New York is home for me. So like yeah, New York will definitely see me more. So it's going to be fun.
Oh,
But
man,
this not about me. It's about you.
you're too kind.
Like I said, this conversation is long overdue, and I think, you've had a couple press releases, and your career's going great. Everybody's doing good in life, but I want to bring it back, to the beginning because I want people to get to know you And I know you from Long Island. I know you went to Baldwin High School. You did a couple gigs as a substitute teacher. You had a variety of different jobs. So for you, just to break it down, like how was it looked like you studied performing arts at high school and all that stuff. How did you grow up? Where you grew up, and how you got into acting? Because a lot of people don't really talk about that part of life.
Well, it's a long story. I'll try to sum it up. If you have any questions, you could dig into it and shoot at me. I was actually always interested in art, and but I played baseball, so I couldn't really do it a lot in high school. I went through college. I got scouted by the Reds. I played a little bit of a lot of things. It all kind of fell apart, and then I came back and I graduated the fine arts degree from Post. I have some master's credits, but uh, after years of I things I went through, I wound up going like the because art's really, it's difficult, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to make a living. So I went and I tried the corporate route. I wound up getting injured, messed up my back real bad, went on disability, and through therapy and sessions, I got pulled back into art. And then I got cast on my first lead. I was doing background work, and that's how we met. And then I said, well, let me try real stuff. And I got booked on a feature film, um, small gig, but it wound up doing well. And that made it to Prime too by some bizarre chance of fate, which I can't even get. But it was pretty amazing. And I just been doing it. It just kind of set me back on the path, and I got a book coming out and a bunch of stuff, and I just kind of dedicated myself to this and said, this is my life, this is what I'm going to do. And you could fail doing the things that you're not so crazy about, so you may as well move forward with the things you love. So
Absolutely.
that's the story. Yeah, so that's how I got here.
Wait, so I I was trying to think because I've done a couple different background gigs, but it was usually the same one. We met on the set of what was it?
Well, now actually, so it wasn't really background. It was Chris. I'm trying to say the name. I don't want to butcher it. Alfred and the Concrete Jungle, I think. And we were playing druggies in that film.
That's what it. Oh crap,
Yeah,
man!
and they had you doing like you did the. I think they cut the vomiting scene where you were behind me in the when we were but they like, I think they cut that part, but like we were in that film, and they filmed us walking and going up the stairs and stuff, and some like minor lines and stuff when we were in that room for the party.
Oh crap!
Yeah.
It's crazy. I forget all like some days it'll like just come out of random. I'll think about the old
Alberto in the
stuff.
Concrete Jungle. That's what it was. My
I for,
brain is just, that's what
I
it was.
I
Yeah.
forgot. I completely forgot
Yeah.
about that
And I
project.
think that was an 18, I think that was 18-ish. And
Yeah,
that
that
was
was yeah.
yeah, it was right before I got booked on Dragon the Weapon of God, which is was my first leading role that made it to Prime Video to with crazy story with that film. That's a whole nother ball of wax.
You
But
know, uh, but I think this is important. Something you mentioned is something I found captivating. Before we get into the acting side,
sure.
um, I know, like in the press release that you did, you talked about you worked at as a cable tech for Cablevision from
Yeah, I
2008
did.
to 2012, and that's when you suffered your injury. But you
Yeah.
said it was a severe injury. Was it something like something where you was looking at maybe being permanently disabled for the rest of your life, or was it just
Yeah, I actually am. But it was a back injury with chronic pain, and it's been very hard for me to integrate back into things that I just started doing very slowly with the background work. That was part of the process because it would get me out of the house for a day or two. And it was really, I wasn't really doing anything. I was just kind of walking, and even walking, there were times walking was hard. Like I remember taking steps. I fell in my bathroom once. I was hanging from my door with my arm. I caught myself. I was walking with my friend, and just occasionally my legs would just go out from under me, and he caught me and stuff. So, but it's been like a long process of just trying to get back to moving around again and doing things, and that's how the background started. And then the acting and actually channeling all the energy and the emotions and all the hell that I've lived through, it just gave me a constructive outlet for everything too. So it kind of it's just a really uh yeah, but yes, but it's every day of my life forever at this point, and I actually try not to live in fear of of just doing normal things. It's hard. My brother won't even. I don't even think I can play golf, but I want to try, but I can't really. And then my brother wouldn't even want to go with me because he's worried. Like if God forbid, he's like I don't want to be there if you drop. I'm like, and I really can't. A lot of the things I love, I really can't do. Uh, my life is just totally, yeah. I don't really generally like talking about it, but it's nice to talk a little bit about it, and I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
But it's tough, man. It's been a road and a journey, but I'm looking on the up, and every day is a day forward, and every step and every day, every breath is just a blessing at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And I've said this before. You get to a point where sometimes it's good to talk about it because not only does allow you to grow, but somebody who's listening, whether you know it or not, probably listening to your story, like, you know what, I'm going through the same thing, and at
Yeah.
least there's somebody who can relate to me. Because usually a lot of people they don't know anybody who's going through their situation, so they bottle it in and they have nobody to talk to, which is
Yeah,
another
and
reason why.
it's very tough and it's hard to talk about. And it's not something that you even want to talk about. Even on Reddit the other day, I saw somebody, he was saying, well, I have bad knees. Should I wear my braces on set? Should I tell people? It was some Reddit post. And I'm like, dude, you have got to be honest with people. You got to take care of yourself and you got to tell people because like, God forbid you get hurt or something. I'm like, that'll be a lot worse than not
Yeah.
saying anything. I'm like,
Right.
but you got to try, do as much as you can.
And I want to ask you how you got over it. And the reason why that stuck out to me was because I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Jeremy Renner, the dude that plays Hawkeye in Avengers and done a
Uh,
couple Mission Impossible stuff, he actually just suffered something. I think probably even way more severe than what you did. Not undermining what you went
really?
through, but yeah. So it was New Year's Day, I believe, and he lives in Las Vegas. They had a huge snowstorm, and his family member got stuck in the driveway or something. He has a big machine. I forgot the name of it, but it's like a 36,000 pound machine. Something you'll probably only see at construction sites,
Like a
but
snowblower or something? Like
it's called this something
I get it. It sounds like a big piece of something you don't want to mess with.
no, and you
Fill
don't
it
want
in,
to.
man.
And
Shoot.
so he jumped in there, helped get the family member out, and as he was walking back to the family member, the thing started pulling ahead by itself. So he tried to jump into it, and unfortunately, he tripped and I ran him over, and it's
Oh,
one of those. He's in bad shape. I mean, he's probably looking at an amputated leg, maybe both legs. I
oh,
mean, severe
Jesus.
damage. Crushed his ribs. I mean, just imagine 36,000 pounds.
Jesus.
That's rough. Oh, but I don't know I don't know if he was directly under it or maybe he was able to fall at an angle and it just ran over certain parts of his body. But even then, if you've seen a picture of this thing, uh, that's no joke. That is no joke. I would not
No,
want
I
to
mean,
do it.
thank God he's alive, you
It's
know, but um support. The first thing that comes to my mind, I mean, I still see my therapist. I was in therapy for years. Still talk to them when I need to. Um, but you need to have people around you that love you and you need a lot of support. I mean, my prayers go out to him and his family, and that's just, it's horrific to hear that. And I'm very sorry that happened.
But
Yeah.
it's one of those situations. Like even for you, like you think about, you know, sometimes that happens. What if, what if this went the wrong way? But I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, it's life, man. It's every day. It's like you just don't know. It's that split second. It's why you have to try to do everything you can every day, because you don't know when. things are gonna go, man. That's just crazy.
It is crazy. But I want to ask you, like, a situation like that, do you ever forget? No, I wouldn't say forget, but is this something that it took you a real long time to process? And I know you talked about support and everything,
It's
but
every day, man.
every day.
Every day. It's every day. Yeah, you don't there's not a day that it's not there. It's not that you let it control you or destroy you, but it's difficult to live with things because you do eventually even you forget what it was like to be the way you were
Right.
over time, but that and it takes years, but you have to, it's a grieving process. It's a huge, it's a very, I mean, for me, it took a really long time to get to where I am. And I have so much respect for, um, I mean, I found strength in myself from others living with disabilities, watching watching their accomplishments, watching them move forward, watching, amazing athletes do things that I thought, like, my God, how are they doing that? And like, what can I do? What can I do? And and I mean, it's just, I guess, for me, I remember, and it's strange because, like, especially there's such a spectrum of injuries and disabilities. It's such a spectrum of it's just so massive, and everybody has their own things that they have to live with, and everybody has their own process. But I mean, I found strength in others, and uh in therapy, and through just support and family and friends, and faith, and just, yeah, it was tough, but just like learning to really just love life and just be grateful for every day. And it's a process, though. It is a process, and I'd like to try to help people. I would like to. I don't know how to do that, but um it's something that I want to do if I
That's
can.
amazing. That's that's what it's all about. And part of the reason why when I talk to different people, even people I know, I try to get into things that are a little more personal, just because from my own experience. I've said this before, but a lot of people may recognize me from the videos I've done with the YouTube channel Jubilee. But the last video I did with them, I talked about how a lot of people might see the glitz and the glamour of our lives. They may see us on set, they may see us enjoying life, right? But a lot of people forget we have a history too. It wasn't always glitz and glamour. It wasn't always I'm getting paid to do what I enjoy. It's a lot of things that go
Yeah.
to the person to build you that way. Um, but like, do you think that experience has helped you in a more
Which
positive way than
experience?
the
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 injury?
injury? Yeah,
Well, what I would say is that it taught me a lot. It set my feet back on the path to doing the things I love. And I wish I would have just said, like if I wish I would have just done it from the beginning, right? But life just takes you on roads, and all these things that happen, they build character, and they become a part of you. And uh, when even the book I have being published, when I started that, I could barely walk. I was hardly able to stand. I couldn't really sit at all. And I had a dream, and I just started writing. And part of me just moving forward in my own life, as I said, well, just I made myself write like a paragraph. I set myself a goal of a page a day, and I just started writing. And I'd always been a writer and an artist, but it was one of the only things I could do. So it's sort of, without this injury, meeting you, all these things that have happened in my life, uh, I'd never take it back. I mean, yeah, I'd like to be better, but I think everything it's so hard. Like the everything happens for a reason thing. I just got my real estate license, and I was reading an article, and there was a woman who she knew, a realtor, who was caught and murdered. Her body was left in the back of a car, and she said the everything happens for a reason thing. She's like, I don't believe in that anymore, because until something so horrific has happened to you, that's just inexplicable. Uh, I just can't identify a reason for that. So, and that really hit home with me. And I don't know how to say it, or if there is I don't understand a lot of things in life, but what I can say is that I am where I am now, and I'm grateful to be here.
You know, I want to ask you: is the Book of Daniel, is that your first novel, or?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't. So, I haven't seen it in a while, so I didn't know about that until you told me about it. So,
So
um,
working on it last 10 years. I don't
it's
really talk about it a lot. Yeah, I was working on it for the last 10 years. Yeah, and it just got picked up. It's going to publishing soon. They're just doing the final edit right now. They're sending it to print, and they're going to do cover design and posters and stuff probably within the next I think it's going to be about 6 months, 6 to 12 months before it's out and pressed, but it's on the way. Yeah, it's
why
exciting. Yeah.
that a lot of people don't realize like what like acting, especially writing. It's a process. It's not something you just wake up and do. Like, what
No.
was the so what is the book about per se? You don't have to give too much info. You don't want people. You don't want to give the
Gotta
spoiler.
tell too much. Well, it's so it's the story, it's I guess it's a coming of age story. It's a story of uh life. I had this vision of a character, a child with these abilities, and are they abilities or not abilities? It gets into your head, like if children could speak, or they had all these things, and they wanted to explain all these things, or you have these abilities, and you start growing and you start learning. And it was funny because like Stranger Things kind of came out after I kind of finished my book, and when it initially started, the girl 11, and her abilities, it was like she was starting to learn, and it was like very grounded. And that was the approach I took in writing this. I didn't want to make like a Superman where it was like I was flying around the world, or and that's all cool stuff, but it's like I wanted to be really relatable. And I kind of I developed this character where he's born, and you grow with him, and you learn, and you grow as he grows, and you meet his family, get to know everything, the world around him, and it's based uh in the past, but in like our time, and like real. I wanted everything to be real. I feel like everything has to try to be real and connectable to people. So but and then it's his life story, and I don't want to say, but it's a heartwarming, it's touching. I think that people are really going to love it. I think they're gonna feel it, and it's written to really, I mean, to go to hit your hearts and make you think and get into your minds and make you come into that world, because this character could be you, it could be your brother, it could be anybody. And are we all crazy, or are we powerful, or can we do these things? And is this person living next door to me? It's like it actually is all possible in a lot of ways. I don't know. So, but yeah, so it'll be, but I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what people think when they read it. And but it's just I think it's an exciting story. Like I mean, obviously I wrote it, so I'm pretty thrilled about it. I'd be a liar to say that I'm not, excited about it, but but I'm just excited to see what people think, and if it, really, if it touches people and how it makes people feel, and where it takes you on that journey, if it takes you somewhere and it takes you away. And I'm really looking to hear other people's words on it. I think
Yeah.
that's where it's really that's where you're gonna, hear it. I'm waiting for that, and I'm excited because it's going to start happening. So I've had a few people read it, and and obviously my mom loved it, but I had some distant people that weren't my mom read it too. So
The
your mom,
bias.
my mom, yeah, on Facebook, my mom is my number one. Like I have one huge big fan, and they gave her like a star. I'm like, it just like automatically tagged her. I'm like, yep, that's my mom.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong
I
with
wouldn't have it any other way, you know. It's just,
that.
yeah, I just love her, man. It's just it's just it make every time I see it, it makes me laugh when I see her little comments and stuff. It's just it makes me happy. I'm lucky. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
unfortunately, it's one of those things. Like, I've talked about it. Like, my mom don't support what I do at all. So,
really. Oh,
no, she sees anything related to the entertainment industry as a hobby, not a real job. A lot, but you know what? It's something that a lot of parents see, and I get it. At some point, when you're an older person, and I'm talking about someone who's aspiring to be acting. Our parents want to see us do the best, and I think a lot of parents are more goal based. So if you're not booking TV shows, if you're not, living every year off of acting, it's a hobby, or writing.
yeah.
If you're not seeing any income from it, it's a hobby. And I don't think I think we're living in a time now where it's changed from the 9 to 5. It's changed to
Yeah.
us making our own content and everything. Are you planning on, like, when this comes out? Are you planning to do like paperback and digital release, or you have?
It's it's gonna be on Amazon. It's gonna be at Barnes and Nobles, and there's some book signings. It's gonna be a hardcover, paperback, whole 9 yards. Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's gonna be digital too. If anybody's listening right now when it comes out, the best place to get it is gonna be on from the website for the book, or the website that was made for that.
Nice.
Because then you know it's a long process, but I'm not going to get into it, but that's the best place to get it. But anywhere you get it, I'm blessed. So if you read it, like anything is a good thing at this point. But it's a tough world. I wanted to rewind what you said there about the not being a job, and I had this going through my mind, and part of this was with the injury and life, and I wanted to say that not honoring your heart and following what you believe in. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do in your life, is listen to your heart. And if your heart says, I'm an artist, and you allow yourself to be that artist, and you just do it. Uh, I have a lot of faith. I'm religious. I believe that God, or I don't, everybody has their own things. I always try to talk about this, but I'm very accepting of everyone. But for me, listening to that voice was one of the hardest things I ever did in my life, and getting injured because I had done the other path and I followed whatever the world said, square peg, round board. But I tried to fit, cut my hair, took my earrings out, got the job, busted my back up really bad, got disabled. And now here I am making art and struggling and, but surviving. I mean, I have a lot of people that love me. I got a roof over my head. I'm alive. I'm breathing, but I also feel satisfied inside. And for me at this point, the only failure is just not giving in to yourself, and just being yourself and allowing yourself to exist as yourself. It might not make sense to everybody around you, but we all need to just love each other and just have faith and support each other and just trust that we're going to be okay. And I think that if parents, and it's sad, everybody has their reasons and they all have, I believe, good intentions. But it's important, I think, to really just try. And you can get a job and you can do other things and you can try to do little things, and make it happen, but it doesn't mean stop, you know. But that's all. But it's really important that you just do it. You got to just, I made this comment the other day on Reddit. Is ridiculous, but I said, like, this do it thing. This guy's like, let me challenge you. Like, you said do it. Like, well, or something. And he's like, but it's collaborative. I said, what is your challenge? I said, do it means just live, breathe, exist. Don't be afraid to meet people, work with people, just try, live your life. That's what do it is for me. It's just like, wake up and try. This lovely, wonderful man named Percy in front of me, I never would have met if I didn't wake up and try something that everyone said was impossible. My book coming out, I never thought it was going to happen. I got a film that just made it to Prime Video. It's like crazy things are happening. And I mean, does it mean anything? What is success? And does it mean that I just made $1 million? No. Does it mean that I'm going to make $10 million in 5 years? Yeah. I know. I watched Jim Carrey. I wrote myself the check. I put it in the drawer. I said, I'm going to get there. And I wake up every day and I work hard. But is my goal being a millionaire? No, my goal, I'm not an artist because I'm going to be rich, because I'm going to support myself, because I'm not afraid to sleep on a couch or be on the street or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen in this life. Just like when I broke my back and I fell and I was walking and my legs went out and I was crawling on the floor and I picked myself on my bed with my hands. You don't know these things are going to happen, but the failure is just not trying, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. So for me, I'm an artist, and for anybody out there, whoever you are, and there's a lot of great things happening in the world now, the Trevor Project, all these amazing organizations just encouraging people to be themselves, to live, to try, and to accept yourself. Just embrace yourself. You don't have to listen to all the voices and the no's. How many people told me the things that happened to me were impossible? And I'm going to tell you that I think of the Alice in Wonderland quote, but it's like, I've done 6 impossible things before breakfast every day, Lewis Carroll. And I just look at these things and you know what, that just go for it. That's what do it is. Just nothing, all of this is technically meaningless, but like here we are now, that's important. And living your life and honoring yourself, being true to yourself and loving yourself, that's important. And that's it's not about all the other things. It's about that. And that's why we wake up every day. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why you're here with me now.
Right. No, that's powerful stuff. And it's something I've had to learn throughout my journey. It's something that many people are still struggling to attain, but it's definitely, I've always said, it doesn't bother me that my mom don't support me. You know why? Because at the end of the day, I'm not doing it. Even if she did support me, I still be doing it. And it's not, I don't live the life I lived. I don't pursue the journey that I want because I'm trying to break the norm. It's because I want to do it. And I think what you said important too, don't sell yourself short. So many people sell themselves short. They don't, for me, I always get asked, oh, why don't you cut your hair? A lot of people like it, but why you don't cut your hair? You're not hot with that. I don't like it. And I always
I got a bunch too, man. As when I get booked on something, they said cut it. I said if it's the right job, I'll cut it.
Yeah, exactly. When you pay me Denzel Washington money, I'll consider it.
Somebody says, "Hey, Percy, I got this nice gig for you over here, man," and you're like, but they're like, "We need you to cut your hair for this character." I'm like, "You might think about it." I said, "I think that'd be. I think that's where I don't know.
No, but luckily that hasn't happened because normally it's usually just like people on the street. But when I get cast and stuff, I never not even.
You look great, dude. Mind. I love it.
Thank
man.
you. It's all about I wasn't gonna bring it up because I don't think I'm doing this project. I'm not sure I haven't heard back, but so a casting director for MTV that I was talking to a couple months ago, I was for a project, and he was asking me this very question. He said, the first thing I noticed was your hair. How do people react when they see it? And I say a lot of people like it, but a lot of people don't. But it's something that when you're comfortable with who you are, and especially in the industry we're in, you have to do something to set yourself apart. When I go to
yes, that's true too.
It's a characteristic that may put you in the box, it may typecast you, but you know what? When you step into the audition room, I know so many people and many casting offices, and they know me just because then they don't see nobody like me walking into their building. So, and it's not like I'm doing it effortlessly. Like every day I wake up with the idea of I'm going to stand out, but it's something that
dude, it's you, man. You've had this hair since I met you, brother.
Yeah,
And
it was
I
shorter
love
when
it.
it was.
It's been. I mean, I can't remember you without like some wild hair, man. I think
It's my
it
mom's
just
fault.
works.
It's my mom's fault because when I was ever since I was 18, she would always cut my hair. I'd be like, "Can I get braids? Can I grow it?" No, no, cut it. She always cut it. So then I got to the point where I could do it myself. I just let my hair grow.
Yeah,
But it's in this industry, whether you're disabled, you have a characteristic that stands out. You have to stay true to yourself, and there's nothing wrong with coming in to something that's very uh, judgmental. This space
yeah,
can be quite judgmental, but if you know
yeah,
who you are, you can allow yourself to penetrate that for, especially now we're
yeah.
living in a more inclusive time. So being disabled, some agents I know that they specifically look for disabled or handicapped people because they know there's a market for that. They know
There's a
you can
lot of
make
different
money.
things. It's all kinds of craziness. Like and for me, my goal, my long-term goal is to get off of that and reintegrate myself into working and just find something I can do. And there's a lot of things I just have to be careful for. It's mainly, there's it's strange. There's a lot of things that like really just like lifting and carrying things. I have to be very careful when I'm trying to do things. Like I said, they didn't want me picking up more than 10 pounds or 20 pounds or something, which is can I still do it? I mean, I can try to, but like, is it going to put me in the hospital and kill me? Or like these are the things that go through my head is really just the fear of winding up back on that floor again, not able to walk, which it was horrific. It is traumatizing.
Right. I,
So it's like, but yeah, but you could, even you never know. You just got to just do as much as you can, and you can't control that. At the end of the day, I can't control that, and if that's where it happens, then that's just what happens, I guess. And but as long as now it's like just do as much as I can every day, live every day, and just try to enjoy every day to the best of my ability,
right.
and
That's
be grateful
that's
for what I have. Like I can walk, and I can do these things. Just keep trying, and obviously try to take care of yourself and be cautious because you don't want to do something stupid that's going to aggravate something or make it worse than it is. But yeah, I guess you just have to try. I guess because you just there's so much. It's everything. Nothing. Yet nothing is. I always feel I always think of the Joker. Like I'm like a dog chasing a car, and I wouldn't know what to do with it if I caught it. I always love that line because it's like I feel like that. Like it's just like you just go and you just let go and you go. And if you wind up, it just doesn't fucking matter. At the end of the day, not nothing. I guess really none of it really matters. But just do as much as you can every second that you're able to. Just push yourself as far as you can, I guess. I think that's the most important thing, and just live and don't be afraid to live, and wherever that goes or takes you, uh it'll just be there, and one day it'll wake up where you won't wake up.
absolutely. I always say you have to, be grateful to wake up every day. And I always tell people, don't judge a book by its cover. People assume certain things about me because of the way I look. Some people think I'm obnoxious. Some people think I'm full of myself. Full of myself. Some people think I'm self-centered. I'm all those things. I'm not gonna lie. No.
I was trying to hold back on saying I'd like to meet these guys and buy them a drink.
Well, look, I always say self-confidence is people. Self-confidence is something that unfortunately so many people lack, that when they do see it, some people perceive it as a negative thing. You know, there's a difference between being self-confident and a douchebag. A douchebag is somebody who, I mean, lives and breathes and just feels like they're better than everybody. I don't think I'm better than everybody. I know this a lot. I have to learn. I'm still a young guy, still, chasing his dream. I'm not making $5 million annually. You know what I'm saying? But it's something that
Yeah.
self-confidence should be something that a lot of people have, and some people unfortunately don't have that support system to teach you that. You have a wife, you have a family who's been there despite the
It's
disability.
important to have
You
people
know,
that support you. And first, man, you're one of my best friends, man. You're a great guy. I don't want to blow you too full of smoke, but even if
No,
you're a
keep
dick
going, keep going.
sometimes, yeah, we all have the potential to be jerks occasionally and dicks, and I'm sure that I have been at moments in my life. I am far from perfect, but your heart is gold, man.
I'm far from perfect either. There's a lot of growing up I'm still doing. I had to do,
And your
and
mom loves you. I'm sure of it.
anyway, no. What is this, Dr. Phil? No, okay. Oh my God! But you're a writer, you're a novelist, but you're an actor, and I wanted to talk about your newest film that's on Prime Video, movie 2020 2125, and
Yes,
it's something you've filmed yourself, right? This is your project.
it was a pandemic. It was birthed at the pandemic, and I had a bunch of jobs booked. It was early March, and I was excited, all good gigs, working. I mean, anyone who acts, they know you get a job that pays you a few bucks. It's like that's like a celebration. Everything is just a
True.
blessing in this business. I mean, it's like you don't know what my why she's like, how the hell do you do this? She's like, you're not working for blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden you get something, and it's like
Yeah.
it's total. It's really like it's organized chaos, I guess. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but the phone rang and they were like, oh, we're canceled. COVID shut it down. And next thing you know, it was just one after the other. It was just raining bad news. I was on my way to my mom's house. I'll never forget it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? And then like obviously I didn't know what to do. I had taken an acting class, and as time went on, my coach Lisa Pelican, she said just make a movie, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, what the hell do I have here? I'm like, I have my phone, I have a couple of studio lights that I use for making tapes and stuff. I'm like, so I wrote a script of basically taking the pandemic 105 years into the future,
Mm.
like possible end of the world type scenario, uh and the man, and everything has to be grounded in real, like I talked about with my book. Like that's how I try to work that way in everything I do, for it to to touch people, to be real, so you can feel it. Like, well, what are we doing if we're not living, is how I think. So you know there was nothing, and all I had was the phone, and that was it. So it was shot as a documentary style type thing of this man who's connecting with this device, because we're all like connected to these things so much so that you don't. Directors, one night I was talking to him, and he said his screen time, he was on the phone for like 24 hours straight. I'm like, Jesus, dude. Like I turn my phone off and leave it home sometimes when I go out, just because I want to try to be present with my wife. It's like I don't want it there. I don't want to be thinking I got to check my email, or I have to do, it's like, but that's what it was. So it was shot in a documentary style thing. I did it all in this room right here. And after a few critiques and things, uh they said build the outside world, and I contacted another director I had worked with that I was close with, and he drove up from Pennsylvania, um my friend Phil, and my friend Eric helped me, and my family gave me a couple of bucks, and we scouted some locations, we figured it out, we did all the work, we ironed everything out, set it up, built the outside world, re-edited the film, and pumped it out into the universe. And it was the first draft of it was initially, it was just the documentary part of it, and my acting coach Assini to try to put it up on put it out on IMDb, and I never thought anyone was going to watch it, man. And I filtered advice, and we did it. We got the edit down, we put it up, it started winning awards. My jaw dropped to the floor. It won over 20 awards or something like it. Was ridiculous. Screened all over the world. It was just crazy, like crazy things. And then it was like, well, what do I do with this thing? I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And my friend's like, well, try to put it on this, try to put on that. And my one friend, my friend Eric, he just kept saying, just try to put it on Prime, try to put. And everybody told me, nah, they won't they won't do it, blah, 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 blah. There's thousands of films, they're not going to look at it. And I'm like, and another gentleman I had spoke with in Russia said, don't release it on YouTube. And the long and the short of it is, I said, frick, I'll just try. And I self-submitted it, and it was like I got the message a few days before Christmas, and I was like, wow. But it happened, and it's out there. Yeah, they published it, and I was like, just and my acting coach, he said to me, he said, no, you worked really hard, man. He's like, you deserve it, and I'm like, it did help to hear that, because like there's that side of you that's like, I don't know if I have the words for it, but it did help to hear that, but
Yeah.
it was just an awesome, amazing blessing. Again, that's just, I think the impossible things. I just think about that Lewis Carroll thing just screams in my mind. It's like all the no's and all the things, like just keep going, That's all I could say. And you think I thought I was going to have a book published? No. Things just start to happen in your life when you start listening to that voice inside yourself. And where it goes, I don't know, but I feel fulfilled, and I know that I'm doing what I'm here to do. So I believe that I think is the only failure, is not listening to yourself.
Right. The most beautiful thing about what you said was it's on Prime, so that means you can afford my interview fee of $5,000. Pay up.
One of these days, buddy.
But no, it is powerful, and this is why I always talk about the industry, because it's the most rewarding, but it's also one of the most high tension, unpredictable fields, because during the pandemic, for me, I'm not gonna lie, and I actually this too. During the pandemic, I kind of started feeling like it was a blessing. It was a curse, but it was a blessing, because when I first moved out to LA, good things happened. Predominantly signing with my first agency a couple months after moving here, but then the pandemic hit a couple months after that, and I've realized, like, in the 7-8 month span I was living here before the pandemic, I really wasn't acting the way I used to when I was in the city. I was more focused on work, and I would half-ass on memorizing my lines for auditions because I was too caught up with work. And during the pandemic, I realized, I said, you know what, this is the break I needed. Allowed me to refocus my purpose, because I've always known I was an actor. I always make sure people would know that, but at the same time, I wasn't doing what I wanted anymore. I was putting less work and effort into my craft. So during the pandemic, I said, you know what? Instead of just sitting on the couch, I can actually do things myself. So instead of just waiting around for the next thing, how do I keep motivated? Created the podcast. And it was something,
Right.
I was the first thought too. Nobody gonna listen to this.
Yeah.
People just like, there's somebody better. Joe Rogan is the better podcast right now. And, it's crazy how just one day, one Saturday, because I remember it was a Saturday, one Saturday, I had an empty room in the apartment. I said, you know what? Let me just throw an episode out there. So I called somebody up. We just recorded a political episode. My podcast was first called Controversial Topics, and I literally, we threw it all together within an hour, recording and all that. I kind of edited the best way I could. I wasn't too editing savvy back then, but
yeah,
I just threw it all together, put it out there. And I think it was the second episode. Someone was like, man, this is actually pretty cool. I'm like, wait, really? Somebody listened to this thing? Because back then it was on one platform, Anchor, which is my host, and I had no idea what I was doing. I knew what I had a sense of what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to put it together. I felt like the podcast title was not catchy. Nobody's gonna listen to this. And then you know, that one day turned into a month, and then that month turned into half a year, and then a full year, and then 2 years, and then you realize you see the progress. You're like, damn, I went from just a one day thinking this was not going to be something that is going to see the light of day, and now I'm seeing it grow. And I think that's the best thing about this industry that you pointed out is bet on yourself. Because it's easy to sometimes be like, oh, this other person's doing better than me. Uh, you know, there's so many other cooler projects than me that I'm doing. But if you take a bet on yourself, you never know who's gonna watch it. It only takes one person to watch it,
Dude,
you know?
you're living your life having a good time and doing what you love.
Right.
And it's like that stupid commercial, priceless. Yeah, it's like I always laugh when I see that.
Oh my goodness. But
I'm dying over here, man. Jesus.
but you know, it, like that's just something that you should be proud of. You know why? And this is why I asked you about the injury stuff because some people might say, "Oh, his film is on Amazon Prime." Oh man, I wish I could be like that. But they only see what is advertised. They don't get to know the person who created it. They don't get to know the actor who's the center of attention. And like people hearing about your disability, the stuff you went through, makes it even better because now people say, "Oh, you know what? My grandmother's going through that. My mom's going through that. A sibling's going through that. You know, a loved one is going through that." And it's that's the stuff I've started to realize. You know, doing this and just maturing a little bit, people want to hear these stories. Whether you feel that nobody wants to listen to it or not, I'll tell you this. You know, a lot of people I'll talk to on the podcast, you know, they'll say, nobody ever asked me about my story. Nobody want to listen to it. I'm just a person nobody even thinks about. And that and like this one girl I had on, um, who was going to the gym I was working at and working out at. She was pretty, but she was a girl that thought nobody wanted to hear her story. People just thought she was a pretty girl. Lo and behold, she's been suffering from lupus for many years. And
Wow.
she finally came out and talked about it because some people just look at her at the gym and say, she got it easy. And turns out she's struggling every day. She's been struggling for like the last 2 decades.
I
So
think like, man, I think I'll be honest. I think everybody in life, no matter where you are, we're all human and we all suffer and we all struggle. And it's like, I think people just need to be grounded in that and understand that like crazy things happen to everyone every day. Whatever you do, it's I think we're all just trying to live like all those. I used to think like my cousin John Nolan is in Taking Back Sunday, and it's like they are super successful, great band, you know, toured the world, the country. My brother-in-law's in the Dropkick Murphys, like, and then like you're in a room with these people, and this is kind of like it's sort of like came full circle for me a little bit, but it's like, and you're just having dinner, hanging out. We all shit the same, we all piss the same, and we all hurt the same,
right.
and we're all people. It's like you see, you're looking, you feel like it. I think there, there's definitely, and sadly, I'll just say like all this social media, all this stuff is like very important, but I'd like to see more connection with people, just really paying attention to each other and caring about each other and just like trying to be a little more empathetic or understanding than like, you know, there it feels there's a lot of detachment,
Right.
which does make me a little sad at times. And that's one of the, I, you know, and especially people that go through things. Like I spoke to my workman's comp attorney, and he said, you know, you're well spoken, and he says if there's an opportunity for you to speak or try to share a story with people, would you do that? I said, in a heartbeat I will. Just show me where to go. I don't know what to do or where to go, but I will try to help anyone I can, any way I can.
Right.
because I mean, and here I am now talking to you, and maybe it will. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but I hope that somebody out there, maybe they put their phone down and give somebody a hug or something, or just stop looking at it and just kind of step away from all of that for a little while. I love camping because that's great. When I go camping, just everything is off. It's like you're in the
Yeah.
woods and it's just like you and your buddies and my wife and my dog, and it's just like nothing, like just like existing in nature and stuff. I love doing that. It feeling like closer to earth and people and everything. Like, I don't know, but that's whatever works for you, man. You try it. If you never tried it, I recommend it.
You know, before I'm gonna ask you a question. We spoke briefly about this, but one thing I will say um about the future, I do think that's the best part about life is not knowing what's going to happen. You never know how your choices are going to enforce one another, because eventually you do see it. For an
Yeah,
example, who would have thought you go from a major accident to having one of your first projects you ever created, I'm not talking about acting, but created, go on a major streaming platform. It's one of those things where
yeah.
you don't know
No,
how
never,
a lot of
never.
things.
No.
And
You never know how things are going to manifest. Yeah, you have no idea.
but I will say one thing I do know about the future is I need my 5 grand now.
It's
Um,
coming.
it's coming.
We're there.
But I do want to ask you a question, because I think it's important. Like when we talk about stuff like this, I I've interviewed other actors before, but I haven't had someone who, one, been through such a experience like you, but two, was married. And I think it's important to
Ah,
get different perspectives, because I
mm,
think, to my point earlier when I was talking about, my mom not supporting me, and many people seeing pursuing a career into this as a hobby. I think that one of the first people you will look to is a spouse. And how do you think, for you, um, do you think that pursuing this career has been a challenge that your wife has supported you in, or do you think is something that you really have to consider when you're making that step in a relationship, or something along those lines?
well, I think that you always have to respect each other and you need to love each other no matter what. And it's not always easy to support each other's decisions. Easy for anything in life that's worthwhile is not a word that will ever appear for you.
Right.
Work, um, trying to compromise, doing your very best with everything. Uh, and even when it's hard to support each other, find ways to do it or try. And I know every day I wake up that she loves me and that she's there for me, and she does in her heart support everything I'm doing. And I wish it was easier. Uh, but it is, this life doing this is so difficult on so many levels. Um, Sometimes I feel like a crazy person. You're doing these auditions, you're doing the characters. It's like trying to separate things, and living with that is not easy. And I know that she has struggled with things,
Mhm.
but she's an amazing, amazing woman. You know, my life partner, and every day I wake up, I'm just blessed to have her in my life. And I think just doing that every day, I mean, she makes me a better man and a better person.
Right. I think that's beautiful. And I ask you that because a lot of people, when they pursue this type of career, it's easier when you're a youngster like myself, you're single, you
Yeah,
don't got many
hey, you're
bills.
sexy with that hair, man.
You know, I, I, I am in a relationship, ladies. I'm sorry, I am, but
There it is. He dropped the bomb.
but like it's something like me and my girlfriend we was talked about. It's like she knows that acting is my number one thing, and it's something whether we break up when we got together, whatever the case may be, I'm always going to do that. But I also want to ask you because it's something we don't really talk about. But have you ever got to a point, while you were married or maybe before, that you've thought about giving up? Because there was times where I'm like,
Never
a
on
lot.
her. I would never for 1 second give up on her.
My bad.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
your wife,
acting?
but
No.
acting.
And
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
no, neither. So at the point where I had thought about, like I said, I've been in bands and stuff, and I took the corporate route. I listened to everybody that was saying, try this, try this. And then I wound up in a job where I wound up breaking my back, becoming disabled. It totally destroyed my life, lost my job, lost my salary, lost my income, living through hell, years of therapy, still in therapy, um, you know, still not struggling to break out of the system that I've been cast into and almost trapped in. But I'm not like, screw all of it. I'm going to get out. I am getting out. I am getting out. I am getting out. I am getting away.
Right.
And that's it. That's done. And I'm doing the things I love
That's
because
beautiful.
I failed doing what everybody said to do. Everybody says, get this job, do this, you'll get. And you know what? They don't care about you. They don't love you. They don't come home with you at night. My mom used to say it about my father. Though that is not your life, but inside, your home, that this is, and you need to stay grounded there, and you have to honor yourself, and that's it. So if I'm gonna whatever's gonna happen to me in my life right now, I'm never gonna stop this. I told my wife that, and one of the most difficult things for her, because she lived with me through all of this when I got injured when we were dating, um, and and she's like, now you're an actor. I'm like, I've been an artist my whole life. I mean, you knew that. I did a nude performance art piece when I was graduating college. It's like,
Oh, there
like
we
look at
go.
that tape. It was like I was always like doing art. I have huge paintings. I was stretching canvases the size of the wall, like I painted my nephew's room. Like I tons. I've always been an artist. It's like, so it wasn't really far-fetched for me to do this. It just kind of everything I've done in my life and the writing, it's all just a natural evolution of me. But the struggle was where and for her was like, now that I'm doing the acting, she's like, well, you aren't an actor and now you are. She's like, it's just not easy. But does she love me? Yes. And are we trying? Yeah. And I would just say easy is just not in the equation for anything that is worthwhile in your life. And everybody's going to have their struggles. And I think the most important thing is to keep loving each other and wake up every day. And look, I know where my heart is, and I know where my soul is, and it's here with her. And that's it. And that's how I wake up every day, and that's how I live.
No,
So trying to find that balance of honoring yourself and your partner, and it's work, man. It is work. Anyone who's been married or is married is going to tell you it is work, but it is worthwhile work.
right. And I asked you that because it's something. The crossroads. A lot of people make adjustments to that. People I've seen. I'm not talking about huge famous people, but people I grew up with or people I saw when I was growing up who pursuing an entertainment career. You know, at some point I realized I'm like, I don't really see you doing it anymore. Are you still into it? And they'd be like, no. And I asked them why. Like, why is that? They was like, it was fun, but and this is something I've thought about during the pandemic. It was like at some point I wanted stability in my life, not knowing when the next opportunity was coming, having to pick up and drop things at the drop of a dime, for an audition or for a project, you know, when you're married, maybe starting a family, looking to start a family, that becomes a big dynamic where it's like,
Yeah.
I love acting, but it's not going to be making that income that we need to sustain this household. So
I think that's where the faith comes in, man. I think that's where you just have to have, there just has to be something there, man. You just have to believe in yourself to the point where all those no's go away.
right.
I don't give a, you know what I'm saying? That's it. I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't care, but this is what I'm doing. Not because I'm going to get stability, not because I'm going to get $1 million, not because I'm going to get that check, not because I'm going to get that job, because it's who I am. That's sort of, I think that's where it has to come from.
I think it's something that at some point all actors probably it crossed their mind about that, the stability and stuff, even some of my buddies who just got into it, one thing they say, they come from the corporate world and they be like, hey, I like it. It's the thrill. I enjoy it, but I miss that paycheck to paycheck. I miss having that income where I know I can go out every Friday and Saturday and enjoy life. And I think whether you're married or whether you're a young person without much responsibility, there is that balance of how do I pursue my craft, but also maintain a life where I'm not,
Yeah.
sleeping in my car. And
It,
unfortunately, I was just saying, I'll let you go, but unfortunately, I meet a lot of people in LA, and I've had the opportunity to talk to some people who are homeless, and a lot of the common things I hear is like they move here for the entertainment, and they just didn't know how to balance that life. It was acting all day, acting all night, but in the process of doing that, they weren't able to sustain a life where they was able to pay the bills and stuff like that. So it's a hard thing to manage.
it's yeah, it's sad. You have to you have to figure it out.
It's tough.
Yeah, it just is. You got to do other things. You got to figure it out. And like, especially like it used to be really easy for me to get work, like before I was injured, I could really do anything. I've done like every job in the universe under the sun pretty much. And I can't do probably 90% of what I used to do anymore. So, I mean, I've been turned away from major companies. Uh, I'm not going to mention any names. I didn't bring it up, but I told them I couldn't do certain things. And they were, well, that's what we need you to do. And they just never called me back. Just really fucked up shit, man. That you don't want to tell people about the fact that you're injured because you can't see it with me. That's another thing. That's like that's a mind fuck because you can't see it. I'm sitting here screaming inside. I got pain shooting down my legs right now. It doesn't go away. It never stops. It's 48 hours a day for me. But you don't see it. And I'm holding it in and I'm maintaining myself and composing myself and trying to move on with my life. And you're gonna sit here and not hire me because I can't unload a fucking truck or load 500 pounds of shit into somebody's car. Personally, I don't want to get this is and that's why I'm in therapy. So I'll leave it at that. But but you got to figure it out. So like finding that job, that's how I got my real estate license now. I put my book out. I don't know what's going to happen in life, but there's a lot of faith and I'm looking for that balance right now and even to maintain my relationship with my wife because that is important. You need to bring that money in every month, otherwise the bills don't stop. The mortgage has to get paid, the oil has to be on, your dog needs to get fed, you need to eat when you get home, you need gas in your car, and you just got to figure it out. But easy, that's really, I guess, the support and God willing keep your mental health and hopefully I don't know, I just wish I could help those people, man,
Yeah.
and every day I believe I'm going to get where I'm going and I'm just going to keep going, but balance is important. It's tough. And then the other thing I was going to say is that I got to get down to have dinner soon, so we should probably start wrapping this up because I could probably talk to you for another 2 hours, man.
Yeah, I want to get you,
I'm gonna get
get you
cracked
on
over the
the.
head in about 5 minutes. I realize I've been up here for like,
Your wife is gonna kill me.
yeah, this is the balance right now. I
I,
realize
you know
I
what?
knew I wanted to. I miss you,
You, you know how you solve this issue? Tell her instead of 5 grand, just give me three. All right.
yeah, man. I'll tell you what. When the checks start rolling in, I'll take you out for a nice night, and I'll take care of you, brother.
Don't worry,
I
man.
will do what I can, my man.
Our time is coming. I
I
always
should
say.
I should be so lucky that day comes. When that day comes, I'll give you a big hug, and I'll give you a nice little check. I'll give you the 5 grand. Like
You
I
can make it
get to
triple
where I'm
that.
going. I'll get it. I'll figure it out, man. I got it, man. I'll figure it out, man. We'll do some kind of. We'll give something, man. I will work it out.
Right.
I'll get you that. I'll get you that coin somehow, man. If when I get where I'm going, I'll figure it out, brother.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
You got
But
my word
yeah,
on that one. No, I'm serious though. What the hell? Why the hell not? You
and
know,
you know the
you're my
family comes
friend,
first.
dude. Dude. You're my man, and I'm gonna do everything I can to take care of the people I love, man. And
Likewise.
you are in that uh you are in that group with me, my man.
You know, it's beautiful. I always say, you know, to the people I know, you, a couple other people and family. It's like, I like being around people who are like minded. Who I I don't give advice. I don't help people for the opportunity that, oh, they're gonna give me something. I don't think like that, because I think
I'll do one better for you first. I'll give you a job and I'll pay you. And we'll have a damn good time and I'll take you out for a really nice dinner.
as long as I can drink vodka all on the
Oh
job,
yeah.
I'm chill.
That I have ideas for things. I have like things I want to try to do, man, but man, that we got to take care of each other, man. That's the root of it, really. That's even you having me on here today, dude. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's not about the name value of the person. Like I told you earlier, it's everybody has a voice, and people are willing to listen if you're willing to share it. It's not about how many TV shows. Granted, the more popular you are, the more people listen. Yeah, but anybody can have a voice. Like the story I told you about the girl with the lupus. She didn't
Yeah,
think nobody's gonna listen to it. Turned out one of the most top listened to episodes I've had last year. So
that's great.
it's one of those things you never know. And
Yeah.
before you go, because I don't want the missus killing both of us. I just want to get you, just for the sake of the controversial, I want to get your quick opinion about this. Alec
Shoot.
Baldwin, we talked about this a little bit. And a lot of people's asked me to do a whole podcast on it. I don't really feel like it. It's not something that I think is that big of a topic to talk about, but we're both actors. We've both been on sets. I've had some props before shooting.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably have some. What do you
Yeah,
think
definitely.
about that whole situation? Because he's being charged with third-degree manslaughter or second-degree manslaughter. One of the, I think it was the director.
Insane is the first word that comes to mind.
What?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, what do you think? Because I'll say this. I hear a lot of times like stuff with stunt doubles who get murdered on the job. I think over the last couple of years, I've heard a couple high profile ones of stunt doubles getting killed on the job doing dangerous stunts, and I
Yeah.
see this situation. A lot of people calling him a murderer. Some people support him, but I think as people who's been on set when you use props, and there is a prop department, which I believe the head of in this situation is getting charged as well. But what do you have an opinion on that? Like, do you feel like he's guilty of all charges?
I don't believe he's guilty of anything. There's a chain of command,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them, and nobody wants to smell them or hear them. What's that word? I don't know, but
Yeah, I know you're talking
there's
about.
something I can't remember, and I know I butchered it, but it's like I'll give it anyway. But like first of all, if God forbid, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. That's just horrific. if you could imagine having a toy gun or whatever. It's obviously it's maybe it's real, but and like your kids playing and your son accidentally shoots their kid and kills them because they think they're playing with a toy weapon. And that's happened before. It happened to a kid on the block. His father was a cop. He had a gun. The kid somehow got it and he shot his friend dead on the front lawn. So yet these things happen. But think about that kid that pulled that trigger. Did he murder somebody? Yes, he did, but no, he didn't. So did Alec kill that guy? No. I mean, he's doing his job. That gun had to go through a lot of hands. The prop went through hands. The materials that came from the warehouse that went to the guy who ordered the blanks, put them in the gun. They boom, 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 boom. But there's so many hands in on this, and it's just a horrific accident.
Right.
And I think that you, instead of pointing fingers at each other and trying to blame people for just awful things in life, because you're not going to make anything better, just try to tell the fucking truth, for fuck's sake.
Right.
It was a horrific fucking accident, and we don't need to. There's enough pain that you don't need to create more. Like, I injured myself, okay? And just to be fucking blunt, the shit that I went through that put me into therapy is almost worse than the goddamn fucking injury. Thank you to the system that has to point fucking fingers at everybody and fuck everyone. Right. And I'm just going to get angry, but it's like, no, this is bullshit. It makes me sick to my stomach. Stop. Let everybody wake the fuck up. There's a problem in the fucking world right now. I'm a licensed real estate salesperson. All right. I'm trying to help people find places to live in the city. There's a housing crisis. There are so many problems preventing individuals from getting a home. And everybody wants to hang this poster on the wall that says, look at me, I did this. I made this system because I want this to work, because I want to check this off and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to get, and you know what? This fucking system they made is so fucking impossible to use that nobody wants to deal with it. These people, you know, I can't fucking find her a place to live. I'm struggling to find her a place to live. They're having difficult times. Like, literally, people's like stress is putting people in hospitals. That's the truth. And stress is killing people, and stress is causing heart attacks, and stress created from pointing fucking fingers at people instead of saying, let's just try to make something that works, or really try to help each other. But no, let's just all point fingers and make ourselves look good so we can wave the flag and say we did the right fucking thing. That doesn't work. Right. And so to root this back to Alec Baldwin, just tell the fucking truth. The man did not load a gun with the intent to kill somebody. If anything, arrest his fucking character. Oh, wait a second. You know, separate the fucking two and put that and make a fucking TV show or some shit, you know? Yeah. But like, he's a man outside of that character. And like, I'm a man now, and like, it's difficult, separation of church and state, but like, yeah, maybe his character killed someone, but he didn't do it. So sorry, you got no charges, buddy, because you know what? They're not the fucking same. Okay. I played an awful fucking character in a film. Okay. That dragon, the weapon of God. Evil needs to exist in this industry. Okay. And if you put every character in jail for the things they did, well, you'd never have an actor to make another movie.
I feel like if I follow up with that, we're both going to be in trouble, not just with your wife. So
I don't know. Did I answer it? I'm sorry.
It doesn't. No, it's good.
And I talk. I don't think I said anything wrong.
No, and you know, and that's why, like, for me, don't get me wrong, I feel bad for the person who was killed. But
it's horrible. It's fucking horrible. It's awful for everybody.
It is awful. And it's, you know, this situation with Alex, and that's why I didn't want to talk about it. It's like, you know, first of all, we have more depressing madness at hand. Like you said, the housing crisis, the potential that, you know, we're looking at, what is it called? That happened in 2008. when the economy gets all screwed up. I forget the name of it. We're looking at that. We're looking at grocery shortages. Grocery prices is through the roof, and that's why, like for me, I try to focus on things that people can relate to, and can have a good thought on. Because as much as I would do want to talk about Alec Baldwin and stuff, to be honest, a lot of people who don't know how sets work and being in the industry don't know that it's not his fault. It's the people who, it's too many hands being tossed around. But ultimately, if they wanted a scapegoat, it would be the props department, because those are the people that usually tell you don't play with this prop unless they say action.
Production, somebody missed something somewhere down the line. The factory messed up. They sent them the stuff. They didn't check it right. You got to
Exactly.
look at everything. There's a thousand things on the list of things that went wrong,
Right.
and even at the end of this, what I said about the housing thing, it's just very frustrating, and it's heartbreaking. And it's like, that's another thing. Just keep having faith. Like, it's just keep telling them, we're gonna find you something. We're gonna find you something.
Right.
But it's so hard, man. It's so hard. These things. There's just so many factors in that line of things in order to get to the point of. And I think there's a housing crisis. There is a shortage, and there are lines of people looking for places to live, and you can't put them all in one place. It's like we're submitting applications, and it's there. These people are getting a dozen applications at a time.
Right.
So eventually, you just gotta hope to God they just pick yours, and it's like, but these people, some of them have been looking for years. You could be 4 years, 5 years. It's like, and it's just, something has to give. It doesn't feel sustainable to me the way things are running right now. Even just like, I mean, the fact that you go to the supermarket and 10 hours of work, you make $80 and 70 of it gets spent on eggs and milk. That there's something, we need some
Yeah.
balance. We need some balance somewhere in this world, man. Like the things are just out of whack right now. The scales are just, something is way off right now. I don't know how it's going to get fixed or when, but it's just, you get the blessed to wake up every day. I think that's really where I'm at, man. It's just,
Honestly,
yeah.
you gotta be grateful, and just know, it's a weird time to be alive. It's a good time to be alive, depending on who you are. But all we can do at this point is just have faith. We don't know the future, but all we can do is just be grateful to wake up another day.
Yeah,
And
you figure out how to tell that future thing. Well,
uh
that's it, man. Then we're done. The job's figured out, man. That's it. There's your
that's
check.
true.
Game over.
Lights, camera, action.
Lights, camera, action. Check, please. I'm the
Check, please.
Thank you. Come see Percy for your future. I got some cards if you want them.
I'm gonna work on that.
Right things for you, young man. Right
You
thing.
too, man. And stuff like this, it's motivation, it's positive, and it's also inspiring, because there's always somebody you can learn from. I always say that, like, you can learn something every day, whether it's through this podcast, whether it's driving to work, whether it's playing with your kids, whatever the case may be. You can always learn something every day if you allow yourself to. And like conversation like this, for the last couple months, I haven't really done interviews with people, but this was a good one, and I'm glad we did, because it inspired me, not just on the artistic level, but as a person, to know that there's people who go through way worse than I thought I was going through. We always tend to feel like nobody can relate, nobody's been through this, and then you hear a story where it's like, oh wow, it really is a lot harder. But you see how people bounce back from those adversities. So often in our society, we see the negative aspects, but we don't see the positives. And I think that's why I'm glad you came on, because it was inspiring for me,
Thanks
not
for
only
having.
as an artist, but as a person.
Yeah, man, you know what? Thanks for having me, dude. It was great talking to you. I missed you. We got to meet up, catch up when you're back in town. And you keep telling your stories, man. Keep doing it, buddy. you just keep living and it's gonna happen, man. You just keep doing your thing, and this is it, man. This is what it's about, this stuff. And I'm just glad you did it. Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll keep telling the story until somebody finally pays me my
Yeah.
$5,000. But before you go, where people can find you? Your movie, your Instagram and everything. Where people can check you out.
So it's at underscore Sean Ian, which I'm
That's your
trying.
Instagram, right?
Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah, it's underscore Sean Ian, and I'm trying to get. Yeah, that's just what it is. I think that's what it's going to be because I can't fix it. The film is 2125. The year 2125. It'll come right up when you search it, and it's on SeanIan.com. There's a page there for 2125, and you can get right to it. It has the links. It's available in the US, the UK, and Germany. And so just, yeah, it's SeanIan.com, 2125. You can find it on Prime Video just by searching 2125, or you can go to my website, and all my links to everything are on there too. And I just, man, love you all. Love to everybody. Thank you. And Percy, you rock, brother.
Absolutely. We're gonna see you on the big screen very soon. Your novel's gonna do great things, your movie's gonna be doing great things, and even more better things to come. And like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand. Shout out to Sean for coming on. I appreciate it.
I love you, my man. I'll see you soon, Percy.
Peace.
Peace, brother.